Chapter 491. The Old Man Won. I died. At least, in the vision. Taking a deep breath, I calmed myself down and replayed everything that had happened in my mind. The old man is a lunatic who doesn't like people lying to him. This much became clear to me after he killed me for something like lying. Maybe he didn't even care that I lied and just wanted to kill me. No, that's not it. Recalling those last moments and how enraged he looked after catching me in my lie, I could tell he genuinely disliked people lying to him. I didn't understand why, but I noted this piece of information in my mind. There was something more important that I needed to take note of. Single quote. The tune. The old man said something about the tune keeping the puppets away. I replayed the tune in my mind. It wasn't complicated. In fact, it was quite easy, but Mary the Little Lamb. Thinking about the tune again, I felt my face change. It had seemed vaguely familiar before, but now I realized it really was. Mary had a little lamb. Why would, more importantly, can such a tune really keep the puppets away? I looked around me and frowned. I really couldn't see how such a tune was keeping the puppets away, but the old man was clearly living without any worries in that basement of his. Then again, he's strong. That might be why he is unaffected. But if he was strong enough to survive this far, he probably was also strong enough to escape. That made his claim seem a little bit more realistic to me. Unfortunately, I didn't have anything to play the tune. Otherwise, I might have tested it. What should I do? I chewed my lip and looked at my pocket watch. Tick, tick, it was 12:14 a.m. My first thought was to recover a bit and wait until 10 minutes before the reset, then head back to the old man. That way, we'd only have to last for 10 more minutes before the puppets stopped and were forced back. Even if something did go wrong, our lives wouldn't be in too much danger. At least, not from the puppets. Who I was really worried about was the old man. Who knew what other tics he had? If he wanted to kill us, then he could do so easily. I had to tread carefully. Nibbling on my lips again, I looked at Pebble and sighed. I would have told Pebble to look for an exit, but getting out of the palace was the least of my worries. What I was worried about wasn't the people within the building, but the ones outside who were stronger, faster, and more powerful. Even if we did manage to get out, we'd have to worry about those outside. That was unless Leon and the others could think of a way to solve this problem. Single quote. The old man might really be the only way for us to get out of this place. I sighed at the thought. Taking a deep breath, I closed my eyes and looked at my hand where another vial appeared. I didn't really want to do this, but I just need to make sure the old man is on our side. After a little bit of thought, I opened my mouth and Pebble poured the contents of the vial into my mouth. Tick, tick, it was 12:17 a.m. Why would you do this? I thought we were on the same side. How could you? Same side. You. Torin, there are things I see, things so far beyond your grasp, they would tear your very soul apart if you could glimpse them. They follow me, relentlessly, through my sleep, they bleed into my daydreams, and they torment me whenever they have a chance. But, these sights, these truths, I never asked for them, yet they are mine to bear, dragging me into the abyss whether I wish to look or not. I am cursed to see what others cannot even imagine, and it is a curse that bleeds through every moment of my existence. Single quote. Why you have gone mad, Emmett. You have gone mad. Maybe I have. No, I probably have. But in my madness, I am sane enough to know that you all must die. Tick, tick, it was 12:21 a.m. Dang, a familiar tune played in the air. Holding my chest, I looked ahead and turned around to see the old man standing behind me. Yue made it quicker than I expected. Same lines and words as before. What about your two friends? Did you ditch them? Yes, I didn't lie this time. I ditched them, because I knew he disliked liars. The old man's eyes narrowed, and a powerful pressure enveloped my entire body, paralyzing me on the spot and leaving me feeling suffocated. Quote. You're quite honest. Thankfully, the pressure didn't persist for very long. After a quick glance in my direction, the pressure alleviated. I like honest people. I sighed in relief upon hearing his words. Thump, thump. However, that relief only lasted for a brief moment before I heard the muffled sound of footsteps coming from above. They're coming. HMPH. With a low grunt, the old man turned in the opposite direction of the puppets and headed toward the large box at the corner of the room. I looked in his direction with surprise, but before I could question what he was doing, his large hands gripped the box and pushed it to the side, revealing another trapdoor. Clank. Lifting the trapdoor open, the old man looked at me. Quote. Get in. Yes. Nodding my head, I checked the time. It was 12:23 a.m. As I stepped through the trapdoor, a small flight of stairs descended before me. When I turned around, I saw the old man follow, closing the trapdoor behind him, and plunging us into complete darkness. The darkness didn't last long as the old man pulled out a small light, using it to illuminate the surroundings. As he did, he looked back up at the trapdoor and waved his hand. Crank. Telekinesis. That looked to be the case as I heard the box above us shift right onto the trapdoor. Follow me. Walking past me, the old man led me down the stairs and into another door. Coming to a stop before the door, I could hear the sound of the piano even louder than before. Da dang Tilda. It's just like I thought. The melody is the same. Crude and yet nice to the ears. This was without a doubt Mary the Little Lamb. Clank. Go in. As the old man opened the door, I was greeted by the sight of a small room. An old wooden bed sat against one wall, a small wardrobe stood nearby, and a piano rested in the corner. The space had a crude, unfinished feel to it, as though time had forgotten this place. Spiderwebs rested in the corners of the place as dust filled the space. When I looked around, I also noticed a small box. Da dang Tilda. Ah, so that's what's making the sound. I had previously assumed that someone was playing the piano, but I was wrong. There was nobody else here. The box was the one responsible for creating the noise. Quote. What is that? It's an old toy of mine. The old man replied, placing the lamp down and sitting on the bed. It wards the puppets away. Ah, indeed, he had already told me this before. But, if it really wards them away, how come he's still here? How come? As if noticing my doubt, the old man walked up to the box and picked it up. There's a limit to how many it can ward away at once. If we were to stand on an open field, it would only ward away a few dozen if we're no longer working. The only reason this place is safe is because no more than a dozen puppets can come at once given how narrow the place is. Ah, it all suddenly clicked in my mind. Still, it suddenly made me question something. Why does this tune stop the puppets? Quote. I don't know. The old man replied as he turned his head and retrieved an old book. I don't remember too well. He rubbed his head. Quote. Exclamation mark quote. It was just as he raised his head that I finally noticed it. Maybe it was because it was dark outside, but now that I stood in front of him, I saw them. Strings. The overwhelming amount of strings that were attached to the old man. 1, 2, 3, 4, 20, 30. Just how many? Ah, you noticed. The old man brought his hand down to show me the strings in his hand. There were so many of them. With each day that you spend here, a string attaches. The box and music do not help very much when it comes to the strings. They all appear at the same time, every day. Just before everything resets. Then, quote. You don't have to worry. The old man pointed at the box. So long as the box keeps playing, the strings won't force you to move. But, with a bitter smile, the old man looked at the box. The box doesn't have much time left. It'll soon run out of energy, and when the time comes, the old man closed his eyes, the meaning of his words clear to me. Making a face, the old man rubbed the back of his head. Quote. I've lost count of how long I've been here. I think it's been about a month. Maybe 2. I don't know. I've lost track. This seems to be in line with what I know. From what I knew, all of this started about a month ago. How did things become like this? It was the wedding of the first son. He was about to marry his fiancée. It was supposed to be his wedding when all of this happened. I don't remember very much. Why can't I remember? Rubbing his head again, the old man frowned. Ah, fuck it. Waving his hand, the old man seemingly gave up on thinking. Turning to look at me, he crossed his arms and leaned back on the bed. His entire persona shifted to a more jovial one. Anyways, I was getting quite lonely. It's a good thing that someone close to my age has come. Her. With a laugh, the old man slapped his thigh. However, I didn't laugh. Similar age. That, could he not see through my disguise? Actually, I was about to peel my mask off when the old man laughed again. How old are you? I'm 28. My hand froze mid-motion. What? Chapter 492, The Old Man Too. Wait. Did I hear that correctly? Quote. Hold on a second. Looking at the old man, I tried to see if he was wearing any disguise, but the more I looked the less likely this seemed to be. The wrinkles on his face felt real and his voice was also quite hoarse. Maybe his disguise is very good. Are you wearing a disguise? Disguise? The old man looked at me strangely. What disguise? I didn't really know what to say. He's definitely a lunatic. Do you think I don't look my age? How strange. Picking up a mirror, the old man massaged his beard. Quote. And here I thought I was looking quite good. Really? Seriously? What's with that face that you're making? Face? Am I making a face? I subconsciously started to touch my face. Realizing that I wasn't making a face, I silently cursed to myself. He really is a lunatic. No, but more importantly, how did he start looking like that? Since he said he hated liars, there was a high chance he wasn't lying about his age. If so, how did he end up looking so old? Don't tell me he's been here for much longer than just a few months. My heart almost stopped at the thought. However, soon enough, I shook my head. There was no way this was the case. If this situation persisted for such a long time, then the world would have known for quite some time already. Eventually, my eyes fell on the strings connected to the old man and my heart sank. Could it be that the strings are sapping away at his life? The thought was even more horrifying than the first one. If the strings truly drained one's life, then it also meant that soon enough, I would end up like the old man. Hell no. Dang tilde. Suddenly, a new melody filled the air, and when I looked up, I saw the old man sitting beside the piano. Pressing his index finger down, he tried copying the notes from the box. Only that. Dang tilde. That's wrong. He scratched the back of his head. What was the note again? Dong tilde. No, that's not quite right. Ding tilde. Quote. That's not it either. He was struggling to play a very simple song. And that was when the realization truly hit me. You don't have much time left, do you? The old man's finger came to an abrupt pause. The real tune played in the background while he turned his head to look at me. The more powerful one becomes, the stronger their memory. Forgetting things becomes much harder for them. You're strong. One of the strongest people I've ever met. How could someone like you forget something as simple as this? No, that's not the only thing you forgot. You forgot a lot already, haven't you? I thought back to our conversations and realized this wasn't the only thing he forgot. Quote. I raised my hand to show the strings attached to me. Ever since the strings appeared, you've found yourself forgetting things. You've started to age, and despite your best attempts at trying to get out, you can't. Why? With your strength it shouldn't be, because they are my family. The old man replied. Quote. I can't leave them. His voice came out in a whisper, like the soft sound of a falling feather. How can one leave their family to rot? Then can't you just ask for help? To who? The empires. I'm sure they. He. The old man started chuckling all of a sudden. Ha. His chuckle quickly turned into a full-on laugh, and the room shook under its intense pressure. He continued for a few seconds before finally stopping. The empires. Help. The old man looked in my direction with a smile. Do you know what we calling the people of the empire here in the Kasha? Quote. No. Wall rats. Wall, what? All they do is hide behind those towering walls of theirs, keeping us out, separated from them. We're the forgotten, the castaways of the empires, the ones they deem unworthy of stepping foot within those big high walls that hoard all the fertile land and the warmth of the sun. Surely that's a lie. If someone as skilled as you tries to them, we're nothing. Brutes. Savages they fear would bring chaos to their pristine walls. If we weren't of some use to them, they'd have wiped us out long ago, without a second thought. That. Quote. I've witnessed it far too many times. They'd rather watch us rotting than lift a finger to help. Asking for their aid would be like condemning this entire household to ruin. They'd milk us of every resource. The old man's voice was hoarse at this point. Quote. Whatever words I had for him were long gone. I just listened to him speak. The people of the Kasha are no better. They'd take advantage of this situation to take me family down. That's why I can't leave. I must find a way to help everyone. I have to. I must. Quote. Single quote. I considered telling him that I was from the very same empires he despised, but I stopped myself. Who knew if he'd kill me like before? I didn't want to risk it. But aren't you scared, to have endured for so long, only to find himself aging and his memories beginning to fade? Was he not scared? Scared? Looking at me, the old man blinked his eyes before smiling. Yes, I am scared. His eyes were clear. Of course, I am scared. Every day I feel my energy drop and my memories fade. I try to fight it, but I can't stop it. I can't find the one responsible for all of this. They were clearer than ever before. But I am not scared of death. So clear that I could see my reflection in them. Death doesn't frighten me. What terrifies me is everything I'm losing while still breathing. Raising his hand to show me his trembling hand, the old man slowly clenched it. I'm not going to stop. But you should stop, because even though I'm scared, I want to preserve the few things that are meaningful to me, which were my identity and my family. These were the old man's reasons for living. Though strong enough to escape, the old man chose to stay and find a way to free everyone. As his strength waned and his memories faded, he fought to preserve his mind and protect his family. As expected, he's a lunatic, a crazy lunatic that I couldn't help but respect. There were better strategies than just waiting here and letting his strength slowly diminish. If he wanted to, then he probably could have found a way to help. But perhaps he had long lost trust in humanity. I get it. Looking down at my pocket watch, I sat down on the ground. I get it. Tick, tick. It was 1:17 a.m. Staring at the old man whose large back suddenly seemed frail, I closed my eyes and opened them up again. That was when my scenery changed. To thump. The air resonated with the thunderous beat of drums, while my hands seemed to have a mind of their own, applauding the spectacle unfolding before my eyes. Claw clap. I'm back. Realizing what had happened, I checked the pocket watch and noted the time. It was 12:17 a.m. Exactly an hour has passed within the vision. That must be how long the skill lasts for. This was good news. So long as I didn't die, it meant that I had 1 hour to use the skill. Even so, I only had one more vial left. One more time. That was the amount of times I could still use the skill. I need to be very careful when using it. I couldn't afford to waste it. In any case, I raised my head and looked up at Keys and Kalian. I felt a little sorry looking at them, considering how I had used them as scapegoats in the runs, but now that I had a better understanding of the situation, they no longer needed to be used as scapegoats. Pebble. Calling out for Pebble, I spoke. Tell the two to rest for now and recuperate all their mana. We'll be starting in a few hours. I'll give them the signal. Human, I'm not your servant. Seeing the annoyed look on Pebble's face, I only thought it was cute. Still, I didn't show it and just pretended to understand its plight. I know, don't worry. I'll make for it later. Will you? Yes, don't worry. Pebble's eyes narrowed but it soon left. A bitter smile formed on my lips as I shook my head. Eventually, I closed my eyes and started to rest. I was going to meet the old man soon enough. By the time I opened my eyes, a few hours had passed. While my body was still not in top condition, my legs felt better and my mind was fresh. My mana had also mostly recovered. As I turned my head, Pebble, seemingly in tune with my thoughts, leapt from my back and darted toward Kalian and Keys. They both glanced at me, and I gave a subtle nod in their direction. Keys then drew in a deep breath. A heavy pressure bore down on the surroundings as his voice echoed in the air. Seesaw movement. With a steely gaze and unyielding posture, Keys erupted with a formidable aura. His indifferent eyes and cold voice bestowed upon him an imposing presence resembling that of an emperor. The drums stopped playing. The people stopped playing. And the world came to a sudden halt. As everything turned quiet, we started moving. Same direction as before. We all dashed to where we last went. Clank. I held my breath and pushed my way into the building while greeting the long flight of stairs that led to the second floor. Yes, I am scared. I could almost hear the old man's words as I fought my way up. Bang, ook. The stairs groaned under the weight of my steps. Pressing my foot down, the puppet stopped moving as the gravity changed. But I am not scared of death. Go, go. I rushed past the puppets. Death doesn't frighten me. What terrifies me is everything I'm losing while still breathing. Moving past them, I saw their hollow and lifeless expressions. The old man's voice grew louder in my mind. I'm not going to stop. He was powerful, amongst the strongest in the Kasha. There weren't many that could rival this man who despite looking old was young. We're here. Open the trapdoor. Get in, quick, down, go down. Oh, right, I stopped for a second and looked back. Whatever you do, make sure you never lie. If you lie, you die. What? Ignoring the shocked looks on their faces, I hurried down the stairs. Because even though I'm scared, I want to preserve the few things that are meaningful to me. Yue made it quicker than I expected. Turning around, the old man appeared behind just like in the past. I smiled at the sight of him and extended my hand. It's nice to meet you. My name is Julian. The old man looked at my hand in surprise. Moving it closer to him, I eventually got him to shake it. That was also when I pressed the second leaf. What do you persist for? My identity, and my family. This was the answer a not-so-old man once told me. Chapter 493, The Three Idiots 1. I'm hungry, a small skinny boy thought while looking up towards the enormous walls. They reached all the way to the gray sky. Tall, super tall, He, maybe if he climbed it he could touch the sky. Give food to people so no hungry. Make sky not sad. He wanted to make the sky happy. Just like in the tales. Blue and bright, gurgled Tilda. The child's stomach started to growl and he bent over as a result. I'm very hungry. The child wanted to work, but unfortunately, he wasn't very smart. If he was smart then he would have food and maybe mama wouldn't have. I need to be smart. Smart means I can eat. Eat means good. Line up, please. If you want food, please line up in a single line. The child waited behind a very long line that connected to the walls. Big tall man wearing shiny clothes stood with a large pot, giving out food. Such nice people. Feed even me who is not very smart. With a silly smile, the child waited patiently behind the line. He waited and waited and waited until his hands started to freeze. But soon, his turn came. Turn. Holding out his wooden bowl, the child looked at the shiny man with a glint in his eyes. His stomach was empty, and it hurt. A child, the shiny man looked down. Are you alone? Is, yes. Wait. The shiny man looked at the other shiny man, their eyes locking as if reaching a mutual understanding. Placing his finger near his temple, he quickly rotated it. The child tilted his head. What that mean? Will he be useful? No, not really. He might even be a burden. It'd be a waste giving it to that. Yeah, the two men exchanged glances before turning their attention to the child. After a moment, they both looked at the large pot in front of them. They then scooped a small portion of the soup and carelessly placed it in the child's wooden bowl. There, you can go now. Staring at the bowl in front of him, the child blinked his eyes. The soup hardly filled half of the small bowl. Compared to the others, it was almost nothing. But, a silly smile formed on the child's face as he laughed. Thank you. It was food. The child felt very thankful to the two men. They were very nice. Even though he was very dumb they gave him food. Holding the bowl, the child walked away. He walked over to a familiar empty hallway. A place he was used to going. Sitting in front of a small flight of stairs, the child sat down and prepared to eat his soup when he stopped and looked up. There he saw a group of children looking at him. Gig, Con, Min. A happy smile surfaced on the child's face upon seeing the children. He knew them all. They were his good friends. I see you managed to get some food. But isn't that too little? All three were eyeing his bowl. The child blinked his eyes and proudly showed his bowl. Yes, got food. His smile was as silly as it could be. The children looked at one another before looking at the bowl. Can you give it to us? We're hungry. But what about? We work. We need energy. You don't work at all. You can survive skipping a meal. We can't. Aren't we friends? The child looked at the small bowl in his hands. Yes, is stupid. He don't work and they work. Even though I is stupid, they stay with me. I must be good friend. Okay. Thank you. You're such a good friend. As soon as the child extended his bowl, his three friends wasted no time, eagerly snatching up his share and devouring it. The child watched all of it with a silly smile. Friends are happy, so I'm happy. As the children finished the food, they waved goodbye and left shortly after that, leaving the young child alone. It was silent. Growled Tilda. He was hungry. And he was cold. The child remained sitting on the staircase as his stomach growled. Closing his eyes, he waited to go to sleep. When he sleep the pain go away. He tried to sleep, but the pain made it hard for him to sleep. Hungry, growled Tilda, but he was used to the pain. Ever since he could remember, he felt this type of pain. But he didn't really mind. Everyone around him was so nice. How could he not be nice to them when they were nice to him? Closing his eyes, the child tried to forget about everything. It's cold, can't sleep, so quiet, I'm hungry, but it was hard, so hard. Hey, kid, the silence ended with a rough voice. When the child raised his head, his blurred vision fell on a tall and skinny man. Are you that retard? I mean, are you that kid that isn't very smart? The child pointed at himself while his vision started to clear up. Me, am not smart. Ah, it looks like it's you. Dark black hair. That's good, I've been looking for you. Deep brown eyes. There's no better test specimen than you. With your help, we'll be able to get out of this forsaken place. The tall man. The more he looked at him, the kinder he looked. He held out his hand for the child. Do you want to be smart? Strong, smart, strong. The child nodded. Of course, he always wanted to be smart and strong. To help the nice people and eat food until his belly exploded. Yes, I can make you smart and strong. So long as you follow me, I'll help you. Really? Yes. The child reached for the hand. It was warm, a stark contrast to the bitter cold that lingered in the air. Grabbing the hand, he stood up. Groaned Tilda, but as he did, his stomach growled and his face turned red. Am hungry. Staring at the child, the old man brought his hand to his pocket and retrieved a small snack he gave the child. It isn't much, but have this for now. You'll have plenty of food later. Really? Yes. Really? Yes. Squeezing the child's hand, the man brought him away to a warmer and safer place. Julian, Kalion's face appeared a few inches from mine, prompting me to move back. I looked around to see that we were currently in the familiar room belonging to the old man. Are you all right? You've been acting strange since before. Even I wasn't too sure. Thinking back, I had only managed to catch a small glimpse of the old man's memory. It was complete, and that made me frown. Then again, this was understandable. He's very strong to the point where I felt he was comparable to Delilah and Atlas. It wasn't strange for the second leaf to not have a full effect on him. But it made me think. As I gazed at the old man, memories of the child from the vision surfaced, causing a subtle shift in my expression. I can hardly believe they're the same person. Unlike the child, the old man felt more clear in the head. The child was clearly mentally impaired in the vision. Observing the man now, moving and speaking with clarity, I couldn't help but think of the person who had once aided the child. Is it possible that he managed to cure the child and even make him strong to this point? Or was it all an excuse to train the child? Yes, it's possible that he was very talented to begin with and an old master took him in to make him stronger. Though this seemed like the logical conclusion, reflecting on the various fragments of the vision, I recognized that the reality was far more complicated. Hey, you're spacing out again. Right. Coming out of my thoughts, I let out a short breath and pointed at my head. I'm not sure. I feel like my thoughts are slowing down. I think it's because of the strings attached to me. What? Are you saying these strings are affecting our minds? When both Keys and Kalion looked at the strings, the old man spoke. The strings do indeed affect your mind. With each reset, a new one will appear. The more you have on you, the harder it will be for you to move and free yourself from them. Your thoughts will also lessen and you will start to lose your memories, essentially becoming one of the puppets. Kalion's face grew grim while Keys's remained the same. This was information that I already knew but purposely revealed in order to get the old man talking. Like before, he moved towards the piano and started playing the notes. Dang Tilda. That's wrong. He scratched the back of his head. What was the note again? Dong Tilda. No, that's not quite right. Ding Tilda. That's not it either. A familiar scene. Staring at him and seeing the number of wires attached to him, I knew he was barely holding on. Keys and Kalion also noticed the strings and they both looked at me. What should we do? I suggest we rest here and wait for the reinforcements to come. We've found a safe spot where the puppets can't reach us. We should be able to hold on until then. Listening to the two of them, Keys' suggestion felt like the most appropriate one. We couldn't escape nor could we do anything about the puppets unless we looked for the mastermind behind all of this. The only hope of finding the mastermind was Pebble. However, with no leads on who was behind it all, I felt at a loss for where to begin. Perhaps the old man might know. Dung, Aish, that's also wrong. Or maybe not. Seeing him struggle to recall such simple notes left me feeling utterly at a loss. I thought about going over to teach him, but I stopped myself. Who knows if he might kill me for it? The guy was a lunatic after all. So, are we essentially stuck here with this old man? Glancing between the old man and then Kalian, a bitter smile tugged at my lips. Quote. I guess so. Oh, and apparently, he wasn't old, though I refrained from saying the last part. After all, I wasn't supposed to know. Great. Kalian covered his face while sitting down on the ground. Though I couldn't hear his thoughts, it almost felt like I could see them. Single quote. He's still worried about the children outside. He tried his best to hide it, but I could see it. That also made me think. Just what sort of past did he go through to even think about the children in such a situation? Dang. Wrong. Smashing his hand down on the keyboard, the old man stood up from the seat and stared in our direction. At that moment, I felt myself lose sight of myself as his deep blue eyes locked in our direction. They stared fiercely at me before he rubbed his beard. You three. He alternated his gaze between each one of us and then shook his head. This won't do. What won't? I was almost prepared to stand up when he sat cross-legged right before us. At your current strength, you will not lasting a few days. It has been a while since I've interacting with another human. I don't want you all to break so soon. Close your eyes. Let me test you all individually. Test. Shut up, and close your eyes. The old man suddenly raised his large hand and grabbed Keys's head. Thump. Right after touching it, Keys slumped down on the ground. Before Kalian and I even had the time to react, his two large hands pressed down on our hands and I lost consciousness. But just before fainting, I heard the old man's voice. Can't follow such simple commands. He seemed disappointed. I've got myself 3 idiots. Chapter 494, The 3 Idiots 2. The House of Astrid. The child was brought into the family at the tender age of 5. Take some rest and get accustomed to your new home. Everything felt new to the child. From the warmth to the colors. New home. Quote. Just rest here. Food and water will be provided to you. The man's words were soothing. The entire scenario felt like a long dream. One that the child didn't want to extricate himself from. If you want to play with the other children you can do so. In here, no one can harm you. To the young child, this dream. This very long dream. It felt so good, especially since there were a lot of children his age. That meant that there were many friends. But they all seemed to be playing with weird stuff. Sword, spear, is not very good at those. He tried to interact with them in different ways. Quote. Hi, hello. The children stopped practicing and looked at the child. Their expression soon changed. Is he okay? Maybe he's sick. No, I think I heard it from my parents before. People like him, they call them retarded. Oh, so he's stupid. Yes, hee. They know I'm stupid. The child scratched the side of his face while laughing. Despite the poison that was flowing from the children's mouths, the child never took them at heart. No, it was more like he wasn't mentally capable of feeling hurt by their words. Hey, did your mother ditch you because you were stupid? Mama, she working a lot. When was the last time you saw her? Done remember. Keck, he's really stupid. His mom really did leave him because he's stupid. He just smiled at the insults. What else could he do but smile? Everyone here is so friendly. He could also see just how different they were from the children outside. They smiled more. They were bigger and not all skinny. They also had families and didn't have to work. They could play all day. And they talked to him. What a nice place. This was where the child grew up. As time went by, the child did not grow smarter. While the other children grew in size, he also grew, but the teasing never stopped. Oi, clean over here. This place is a little dirty. Get cleaning. Yes. By the time he reached the age of 11, he became a full-time sweeper. He was no longer skinny and one might even argue he was a little chubby. I'm not cold. Throughout his years in the place, he remained thankful. I'm not hungry. He cleaned where he had to clean and ate what was given to him. Everyone is nice. To the child, there was no greater joy than this. And soon, the man from the past came to meet him again. He looked no different than before. And the child's hand fell on the man's hand. Is it still as warming as past? It's been a while since we've last seen each other. It looks like you're doing better. Hee hee. The child did what he did best. He laughed. Am very happy. Eat a lot. Have lots of friends, and not cold. Is that so? Raising his head, the man looked around. Is that what you truly think? Yes. I see. Your eyes are still not clear. Not clear. What could the nice man mean? But that's fine. He stretched out his hand for the child. I've finally done it. I've developed it. I can now do what I promised you back then. It was warm just like the last time. But so were his words. You make me smart. I want to be smart. That's right. The man smiled, pulling the child away from where he lived his childhood. I'll make you smarter and stronger. You won't ever have to worry about food, nor won't you ever have to worry about the cold. Your eyes will open and you'll be different. As he was pulled, the child stared at the man's back. It was wide, and it felt secure. This is the house of Astrid and I'm its current head. Edward Siphon Astrid, head. I am the one who feeds everyone, who makes sure they're warm, and who keeps them safe. The more they walked, the bigger the man's back became in the child's eyes. It became so large that it almost felt like it could carry an entire boulder. I've created a highly unique drug that enhances your intelligence and improves your constitution. It will allow you to absorb mana much faster than your peers, and with my assistance, you will grow at an extraordinary rate. That's why from this moment forth, I want you to call me teacher. Teacher, with your newfound intelligence, you'll be able to assist me in helping everyone live happily. The man approached a trapdoor, which he quickly opened. Descending the small flight of stairs, he led the child to another room furnished with a bed, a wardrobe, and a piano. This will be where you'll stay from now on. The man walked forward. Then, he sat down on the seat next to the piano and opened the lid. Dang Tilda. He started to play a tune. It was the most wonderful tune the young child had ever heard. Da, soft, da, catchy. Dang Tilda, dang Tilda, dang Tilda. And most importantly, simple. I'll have you test your skill by learning this tune. Taking his hands off the piano, the old man handed the child a small black pill. Take it. That day, for the first time in his life, the child became smarter. Hey, stop daydreaming. A powerful voice nearly shattered my eardrums as I jumped back in shock and looked ahead. When I looked around, I realized I was standing in the middle of a white void. Kalian and Keys were standing not so far from me, looking at me with weird looks. Aha, look who finally decided to show up. When I turned my head, the old man stood not far from where we were. Quote, Can't speak. What, are you an idiot or something? I was just about to reply when the old man waved his hand. Whatever, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. What does one extra idiot make? I did call him a lunatic before, didn't I? He's kind of a lunatic, isn't he? Single quote. I think so too. Even Keys and Kalian thought the same. You know I can hear you. The old man looked at us with a frown, and we all shut our mouths. As expected, you three are idiots. For thinking you're a lunatic. Whatever, this is not why I brought you here. Like I said before, at your current skill level you three won't be lasting more than a few days. I can last so long not because I am stronger, but because I am no idiot like you three. Pointing at his temple, the old man looked at us. A mind cluttered with thoughts is a burden. Greed, love, emotions, all of it clouds your judgment. You must learn to let go of these distractions. Wait, was he trying to teach us? Are you saying that if we let go of all such thoughts we'll be able to last longer? Indeed, but it's not easy. I smiled then and closed my eyes. Suddenly, 6 locks materialized before my eyes, and one by one, my emotions began to dissipate. The surroundings started to lose color, and when I finally opened my eyes, an eerie calm had settled over everything. How is this? 11. Maybe I saw it wrong, but the old man's face twitched at the sight of me. I felt proud, but the feeling dissipated quickly. At least, until I heard his words again. Idiot. I thought they were all idiots, but some were more idiotic than others. Oh, what a bloody curse. Here I thought I had founding some people to keep my company, but in the end, I'm just going to end up taking care of 2 idiots and a bigger idiot. I let go of the skill and looked at Keys and Kalian, who nodded subtly. I don't know if it's just me, Keys, but I feel liberated hearing his words. I'm not the only one, right? No, the old man has good eyes. I can hear you too. The two pretended to not have heard me while the old man grumbled to himself. He eventually calmed down and looked at me. That's a skill, isn't it? Something you probably self-created in order to keep your emotions in check, right? Yes. He's really sharp. With just a glance, he understood. It requires a bit of mana to use and all it does is stop your emotions, am I right? Quote. Yes. That's the problem. The old man pointed at me. Will you be able to sustain the skill for days to come? Will you be able to sustain it while you're sleeping, eating, shitting? That, of course, not. Why would I need to do that? Then that is pointless. The old man pointed his finger at me. What I'm asking from you is whether you can do all of the above without relying on skill. If you aren't capable of keeping your mind at utter peace, you will never be able to break to the next level. I listened carefully. From what I can tell, you've just developed a domain. What do you think is next for you? Quote. Consolidating the domain. Wrong. The next step is mastering your mind. Clearing all thoughts means achieving complete control over your body. This includes perfect command of every muscle, as well as the ability to manage the mana flowing within you and your emotions. Once you fully clearing this stage, you'll reach the next stage and a whole new world will open up for you. Licking my lips, I asked, are you saying that by achieving this state I'll be able to have greater control over my skills? Like a mode of magic? That's correct. Ah, then, but you're far away from reaching such a state. How far? Further than you can imagine. Not just you, all of you. The old man looked at the three of us before sighing. He first pointed at Keys. This idiot over here, all he thinks about is how to regain his emotions and how to be Fr. The old man stopped for a second before looking at me. Strangely, shaking his head, he secretly grumbled, he's kind of weird. Pitifully weird. Turning to look at Kalian, the old man shook his head. All this idiot thinks about is the children outside. It's all he's been thinking about lately. Honorable but at the same time, messy. And then, the old man looked at me. His expression tilted as he tried to read my mind. I suddenly became worried. Would he find out about the fact that I used my skill on him? What about my other secrets? What? You? The old man's gaze felt even more pressuring. Quote. A woman. I froze. What did he say? Black hair. The old man's gaze turned strange and I stopped. Wait, what was he talking about? No, now even Kalian and Keys were looking at me strangely. Don't look at me. I don't know what he's talking about. Tisk. The old man clicked his tongue. I can understand their thoughts, but you. He shook his head, looking all shamed. His gaze seemed to say, from noble thoughts to this. This one is hopeless. No, wait, let me explain. I don't have time for your nonsense. The old man clapped his hands. Clap, clap. All of a sudden, the world around me started to shift. I suddenly found myself inside a dark cave with no one in sight. Kalian, Keys. It was damp, dark and cold. My heart started to beat fast. This was especially made apparent when I noticed two books sitting in front of me. One red, one blue. Picking them up, I read the titles. At least, tried to. The title for each book was blank. However, opening the first page, there was a small description. Fast to learn, but brings a lot of pain. Slow to learn, but no pain. What is this? Growl. Suddenly, I heard a large growl coming from the other side of the cave and I stepped back. From the pressure coming from the monster, I felt my entire body shiver. It's very strong. I wasn't sure I could defeat it with my current capabilities. Don't worry, the monster is sealed. The old man appeared in front of me, his arms crossed. He then pointed at the books in my hand. Choose one of the books and master it. When you're done, fight the monster. If you beat it, you pass, if not you fail. The old man didn't wait for me to finish. Quote. If you fail, you repeat. His figure disappeared. Don't keep the others waiting for long. Wait. Chapter 495, Obsessions 1. Growl tilde. I heard the loud and fearsome growl of the monster in the distance and hurriedly looked at the two books in front of me. Just what is he trying to do? I still couldn't understand what the old man was trying to do. Was he trying to teach us or did he have another agenda? He did say this will help us, but, looking towards the distance, I felt a little skeptical. How was defeating a monster going to help me? It looks like I don't really have a choice, do I? I saw no way out of this place unless I defeated the monster. This was some sort of weird space that the old man had created. There was no way I could break it unless I followed his instructions. Which book should I use? I alternated my gaze between the two books. Fast to learn, but brings a lot of pain, or slow to learn, but no pain. The answer felt almost automatic to me. I didn't think once before choosing the red book, fast to learn, but brings a lot of pain. I can handle pain. Of this much, I was certain of. Ook. As the first page turned, a sudden and intense wave of pain washed over me, nearly overwhelming my senses. It was so painful that I almost felt my entire body freeze from the pain. How could? I bit my lower lip hard, the metallic taste of iron filling my mouth. This is ridiculous. Crack. My bones cracked, and I felt my body shifting. An intense surge of mana erupted from deep within me, flooding through every fiber of my being. I could hardly breathe, let alone think. All I knew was the pain. The pain consumed every corner of my mind, shifting from the searing agony of burning alive to the sharp, concentrated pain akin to a knife's stab. I endured every imaginable pain I could think of as power surged through my body. I endured, and endured. At the same time, I flipped the pages. With each page I flipped, the more painful the experience became. My hands moved faster. And yet, when does this stop? The agony seemed endless. No matter how much I endured, the pain only intensified, growing stronger with each passing second. Despite my high mental fortitude, I found myself screaming. I found this baffling, yet it was beyond my control. My body simply reacted on its own. No, this is too much. Stop. I tried to stop it, but it wouldn't stop. I screamed again, but no words came out. I had lost my voice. The pain had completely taken over. I was suddenly overcome with despair. This pain, I had to make it stop. Growl Tilda, and then I heard it. The monster in the distance. Right, so long as I defeat it. Looking down, I saw that I had only managed to turn 10 pages, but I thought this was enough. Without a moment's hesitation, I sprinted towards the distant monster. As I drew closer, I caught a glimpse of the creature hiding in the darkness, a grotesque monster with 2 large goat horns, massive arms, and an enormous, dark body. Its head resembled that of a goat, but its body was more like that of a gorilla. It was a weird creature, but I couldn't care less about it. Swoosh! I charged directly at the creature, channeling all the power I had accumulated from reading the red book. Crack! My body crackled and howled, as threads erupted from all directions, each glinting with a faint purple light. A black film expanded from beneath me at the same time, consuming the surroundings as my domain expanded. I became even stronger. I attacked the monster with all I had. But, as my fist landed on its body, the expected reaction didn't occur. Looking up and staring at the monster's body, which was unharmed, I felt a lump form in my throat. The monster raised its large arm. My world turned black. At least, until I woke up again. Holding onto my chest, I hastily looked around. I was back in the cave and my body was fine. What just? You died. The old man looked at me, his expression filled with disappointment. You hardly even lasted a few seconds against it. I thought you were talented, but you don't really seem to amounting to much. He sighed. And here I thought I'd get to have a few people to talk to. He waved his hand. Whatever, I'll just resign myself to the fact that there's no hope for me. I'll turn into a puppet knowing that 3 other idiots will soon join me. Hearing his words, I stopped. I was feeling quite annoyed. This is just my first try. I didn't think the pain would be this much. Just give me time to get used to it. I'll get used to it. Tisk. The old man clicked his tongue and shook his head, mumbling to himself, disappointing. How disappointing. Fueled by my growing anger, I immediately moved towards the books and grabbed the red one. You think I can't do it? One thing I took immense pride in was my ability to endure pain. Failure on the first attempt didn't matter, it likely happened because I approached the monster too hastily. I needed to gather more power. I needed to suffer more. Yes, I need to suffer more. I opened the book and clenched my teeth. I'm hungry. Please give me some food. My brother is dying. Help. Wait a second, make a line. I have plenty of food. All Kalian could see were hands. They reached out to him in all directions, begging, pleading, and imploring him for food. The hands, they were all young children, their clothes tattered and their cheeks hollow. They're lifeless. Eyes mirrored the hardships of their lives, evoking memories Kalian had desperately tried to bury. Help them. I have to help them. Kalian took out whatever food he had. Make a line. I've got plenty of food. But even though he had food, it wasn't enough. There were too many children. How could he feed so many of them? No, this can't go on. In the end, Kalian sold all his most prized possessions to buy more food. He used it to feed the poor children, seeing in them a reflection of his own past. For how long had they starved? He had once endured nearly 20 days without food. The memory of that agony was still vivid in his mind, the gnawing emptiness in his stomach, the lack of energy, and the haze that blurred his perception of the world. The world felt gray, and time seemed endless. The children in front of him were the representation of his past, of his suffering. His hands started to move faster. Eat well, there's plenty of food for everyone. Kalian continued to feed the children. It was an endless cycle that only came to a stop when the no longer had anything to sell besides his clothes. He had already sold everything he owned. And yet, the children remained. Is there no more food? Ah, I guess I was too late. My family, I'm hungry. Kalian covered his mouth. No, he wanted to say he had more food, but he didn't. He had nothing. He was poor. And he was also hungry. But still, he couldn't care less about himself. He had to find a way to feed the children. And so, after a little bit of thought, Kalian made a decision. He was going to start robbing the rich. They're rich anyways. What does it matter if they have a little bit less gold? They're the reason why the children are poor, to begin with. It's time for them to give back to the community. Thus, Kalian's life as a thief began. He robbed from the rich and used the wealth to feed the poor. Here, there's plenty of food for everyone to eat. Come, everyone, eat at your heart's content. There was nothing more fulfilling for Kalian than seeing the children eating happily. It was enough to make his cold heart smile. But actions had consequences, and Kalian learned this the hard way. Coming back one day to feed the children again, he was met with a sea of blood. Limbs scattered across the ground as faces Kalian had grown familiar with appeared lifeless on the ground, seeing the carpet of red that formed on the ground and the corpses of the children on the ground, Kalian lost it. Thump, falling to his knees, his eyes lost focus. He recalled the memories of the children and their smiles as he handed them food. For once, he had given them hope. But now, it also became clear to him. How could, rather than giving them hope, he had taken their life away? Drip, drip, rain drizzled from above as two figures stood in the downpour. The soft patter of raindrops mingled with the silence between them, the taller man looking down at the younger one. The world around them blurred into a gray haze as Keys kept his head lowered. Repeat after me, I'm a talentless shit with no emotions. I got rid of my emotions because I am afraid of pain. Say it, I'm a talentless shit with no emotions. I got rid of my emotions because I am afraid of pain. The words flowed smoothly out of Keys's mouth. He was accustomed to saying those words. It was only natural for them to flow from his mouth without much thought. That, and slap, the slaps that came along with them. I'm a talentless shit with no emotions. I got rid of my emotions because I am afraid of pain. Good, now say it again. On repeat, over and over again. I'm a talentless shit with no emotions. I got rid of my emotions because I am afraid of pain. Again, I'm a talentless shit with no emotions. I got rid of my emotions because I am afraid of pain. Again, I'm a talentless shit with no emotions. I got rid of my emotions because I am afraid of pain. Again, as Keys repeated each phrase over and over again, he found himself realizing something. I am indeed a talentless shit with no emotions. The more he said the words, the more he realized the truth in them. He indeed had no emotions. He had lost them the moment he lost to Julian. All to run away from the pain. In that regard, his words held some merits to them. I'm a talentless shit with no emotions. I got rid of my emotions because I am afraid of pain. Was indeed a talentless trash with no emotions. He was a failure. Standing within the white void, three projections appeared before the old man. He shook his head upon seeing Julian, a look of deep disappointment crossing his features. His mental fortitude is quite strong, but his obsession is greater. The old man shook his head once again. How saddening. At the rate he was going, he wasn't going to last very long. But it wasn't just him. Staring at the two other projections, the old man shook his head again. Idiots. They're three idiots. The biggest idiots he had ever seen. Arg, I can't watch this farce any longer. With a wave of his hand, everything shattered, and with soft thuds, Kalian, Keys, and Julian collapsed to the ground, finding themselves back in the old man's room. Staring at them, the old man clicked his tongue. I've wasted enough energy on you three today. He checked the time. Reset will happen soon. Get some sleep and recover yourselves for now. We'll continue this next time. Without giving them a chance to speak, the old man walked over to his bed and pulled a blanket over himself. Within seconds of closing his eyes, he, Uark, began snoring. His snores were so loud that the entire room shook. That night, neither three of them managed to sleep more than a few minutes. Simply put, his snores were way too loud. Ueek, Chapter 496, Obsessions 2. House of Myron, are you saying that communication has been cut? Aoife's face tightened as she stared at the professor before her. The professor's expression mirrored her own, equally grim as he scrutinized the communication device in his grasp. After a while, he retrieved another communication device. Aoife recognized the communication device and pursed her lips. The model he had was a lot more powerful and had a harder time getting disrupted by spells. But it's not working. Just like the first device, it also didn't work. The expression of the professor turned even gloomier. Looking at how both devices are not working, it's likely that someone is interfering with the signal. I wouldn't have been worried if they were only capable of blocking the first device, but to even block the second. I'm afraid the situation is more serious than I anticipated. The professor was quick with his actions. Aoife, get all the cadets here in the next hour or so. Report to me if anyone is missing in the meantime. I will now try to get in contact with those of the Myron family. I'll delegate authority to you for now. Understood. As Aoife took over, she started nibbling on her lips. I don't like where this is going. Especially since Julian is missing. Whenever he goes missing, things start to warp. I need to keep control of the situation before it's too late. Flicking her head towards Kira and the others, she started to bark orders. You heard the professors. Help me out for now and get all the cadets here. Look in each room twice. If there's anyone missing, report it to me. Having said all she needed to, Aoife turned and left, leaving the others speechless as Kira looked especially annoyed. This bitch, since when did I become your dog? Despite her grumbles, Kira got to work, alongside the others. Staring at the others, Leon also left the hall and started to look for the cadets. As he stepped into the hallway, an owl suddenly appeared before him, its eyes gleaming under the dim light. Owl Mighty hopped onto Leon's shoulder. I thought you left. Did Julian send you back? Leon turned his head and looked at the owl. Following his message about Julian's situation, the owl had directly left. Leon thought it had gone back to Julian, but seeing it here again, something must have happened. No, it's not about Julian. It's something else. As in, Owl Mighty fixed its gaze on Leon's right pocket. Take it out. Quote. What? Confused, Leon tilted his head, but the owl's gaze never budged from his pocket. Seeing the grim look in the owl's eyes, Leon reached into his pocket and pulled out a familiar red leaf. The owl's expression fell at the sight of the leaf. Leon noticed the changes in the owl rather quickly and his body tensed. What happened? What? Squelch tilde. Sensing something, Leon's head flicked down to see Root latch onto his foot. His expression changed dramatically just as the owl's voice echoed in his ears. When did it? I don't know when, but we've been caught by it. Caught by. Rustle tilde. As a rustling sound filled Leon's ears, he felt the root latched onto his foot get pulled away by a mass of intertwining roots. The sensation was abrupt, and his heart raced as the owl's voice continued to echo around him. Me. When Leon turned around, his face tensed as he saw a large tree appear right behind him. Quote. You've been caught by my main body. Everything that you're seeing, it's most likely an illusion. Talk. Breaking me from my sleep was a small tug that came from my lower leg. As my eyes snapped open, I noticed that a new thread had appeared. I almost jumped back when I noticed a face appear near mine. Hey, calm down, I'm not going to bite you. It was the not-so-old man. Dang tilde. He tapped the thread on my leg and watched it oscillate. As you can see, you're still here. I didn't lie to you. The box works. Quote. Yes, but my body felt heavier than the previous day. Not only that, but my mind also felt a little foggy. As though I didn't feel like getting up. I'm surprised you're the only one who woke up. As the old man looked beside me, I also noticed Keys and Kalian. Covered in bed sheets, the two were sleeping with frowns on their faces. Well, I'll let them sleeping for a bit more. It'll be a rough day for the two of you. Looking at the old man who bent down and rummaged through whatever he had under the bed, I suddenly had a question. Why are you helping us? Helping you? The old man took out several unopened cans. They looked to be quite old. Well, you can say that I'm helping you. He stood up and stretched his back. But it's not like I'm helping you for any noble reason. You can say I'm doing this for myself. Too. For yourself. It's been quite lonely these past few days. Quote. So you're doing this because you were lonely? Haha. The old man laughed and reached for a can opener. It isn't that simple. I'm also doing this because I might be able to finding the one responsible for all of this with you help. My brows shot up in surprise. You have a lead. Quote. For a while now. But I can't do it by myself. That's why helping you. It all made more sense to me as an acidic smell suddenly filled the air, prompting my brows to furrow. When I looked at the cans, I immediately reached out. Actually, about the food. I waved my hand and displayed several fresher cans, alongside several species and herbs. Wah! This was the first time I saw the old man look surprised and I felt somewhat proud by the fact. How did you do that? Quote. It's a secret. Tisk. The old man clicked his tongue in annoyance. I don't like people who keep secrets. It reminds me too much of the slippery row of bugs from the other houses. What's that? I brought my hand to my ear. It looks like you don't want the food. Well, that's alright. I guess we'll stick with what you've brought. The old man's mouth wiggled. Quote. On second thought, those bugs were more annoying. More? Are you saying that I'm annoying? Ha! The old man forced a smile that wavered between joy and sorrow, his face as scrunched up as I had ever seen it. Quote. Not at all. I held my laugh back. You don't look sincere. You're pushing too much. I opened the can and started smelling the contents. Hoo-ah! It smelled a lot better than whatever he had. Gurgled Tilda. And as expected, even his stomach thought so. You. The old man wiped the corner of his mouth as I took out a spoon and prepared to add the salt. Are you some sort of demon? No, why would I be? You're the one who. Fine. The old man cursed while holding his stomach. You aren't annoying. You're the most unannoying guy I've ever meeting. Are you happy? I guess. I thought about teasing the old man more but I just held myself back. Who knew what he would do if I pushed him too much? But even so, who would have thought there'd be such a weird side to this lunatic? Since you're being so honest, I guess I don't mind. Stop for a second. A hand suddenly reached out from behind me, stopping me from handing the can to the old man who sharply raised his head to look at Kalian. Ignoring the old man's gaze, Kalian looked at me. Give me your food. Why? I'm cooking. You are. But this is. No. Kalian looked serious. No. He snatched the salt from my hand and gave it to Keys who took it without making a single noise. The hell? Kalian then looked at the old man. We just saved your life. Without elaborating, Kalian snatched the ingredients from my hand and extended his free hand. Do you have a pan? I do. Give it. After seeing his stare, I could only quietly purse my lips and hand him a pan. As I did, the old man appeared next to me while mumbling, "Is that a relic? How did you do it?" I didn't say anything and just waited for Kalian to finish cooking. Thankfully, we didn't have to wait for long and he presented each of us a bowl of food. I wanted to say it was bland, but when I turned my head to see the old man's expression, I decided to close my mouth. This. Taking another spoonful, the old man covered his face. Quote. How can something be this good? He looked really happy with his meal. I tried again but the taste never changed. It's still bland. Burp. To mark the end of his meal, the old man burped out loud and I winced slightly. The smell. It was awful. Quote. It's been a while since I last eaten something so good. Rubbing the top of his mouth, the old man stretched his back and turned his attention towards us. A smile suddenly surfaced across his lips. It was a creepy smile that made my stomach churn. Now then, his heavy hand fell on my head. Quote. It's time we continue what you guys did yesterday. My consciousness faded right after that and I appeared before a familiar cave. Quote. I'm back here again. Looking around, I saw the same 2 books as before. I cursed inwardly, moving towards them. After a moment of hesitation, I decided to grab the blue book instead. No pain, right? I wanted to try this. Growl tilde. In the distance, the monster's growl echoed. Yeah. I waved my hand and opened the blue book. I wanted to see what the difference between the 2 books. And I immediately noticed the differences upon opening the book. Unlike the red book, I felt no pain upon opening this one. In fact, I felt completely fine, which was odd. However, if there was one thing to note, it was that the strength increase was a lot slower. The pages also felt heavier and they were much harder to turn. No, it was more than just slow. This is beyond slow. I couldn't afford to waste time like this. Therefore, after a little bit of thought, I tossed the blue book and grabbed the red book. Mastering this was going to be a lot easier and faster for me. This was my specialty, after all. And so, I endured pain, unlike anything I had ever felt before. It hurts. I screamed. Ah, I thrashed. Ark, and I endured, all for the hope of reading all the pages of the red book. So long as I read them all, I'd be able to beat the monster and be done with this trial. Chapter 497, Obsessions 3. Pain. What was pain? Was it just the physical or emotional distress that arose in response to an event such as injury? Or death? Or was there more to it? I wasn't too sure myself. All I knew was that I'd have to experience pain in order to become stronger. This was the fastest method I had available. Flip. Each time I turned a page, I felt myself become stronger. But at the same time, I also felt an unbearable amount of pain. There were a total of 158 pages. Each page brought a new wave of pain, yet with every surge of agony, I felt my strength grow. It was as if the suffering was a catalyst for my power, serving as some sort of anchor that prevented me from going insane. It also made me think about pain. What was it, and why did I make myself go through it? This was obviously the fastest method and I was used to this type of abuse. I wasn't unfamiliar with pain. In the last moments of my life, I could distinctly recall the pain I felt then, the pain with each breath and the pain of just trying to keep my eyes open. I could recall all of it. But what I could recall best wasn't the physical pain. No, it was the emotional pain. The pain that came from abandoning my brother, my one and only remaining family. The pain that came from knowing I wouldn't amount to anything besides being a regular salesman. The pain that came from realizing that I probably didn't have a tomorrow. The pain of not being able to have hope. The pain of, WW, what page am I on? Flip, 153. Ah, I was close. My hand shook and my vision blurred. As the pain intensified, I began to recall the times I had pushed myself to the brink of exhaustion. From the mental torment I endured to unlock my first spell, to the emotional suffering I inflicted upon myself to break free from the illusionary world that belonged to Pebble. It was also then that I realized something. I put myself through a lot of pain, didn't I? Flip, 154. I tried to deny it, but there was no denying it. All I knew was pain. I had suffered through so much of it that I reached a point where I didn't mind going through it. Flip, 155. My breathing became rauch, each gasp feeling like a desperate struggle. I felt suffocated as my muscles spasmed uncontrollably. A little bit more. I clenched my fist in silence. A surge of unprecedented power coursed through my veins, electrifying every nerve in my body. This newfound strength was unlike anything I had ever experienced before, giving rise to a euphoric feeling. And also served as a reminder to me. Pain was rewarding. I put myself through pain because I knew that on the other side of the pain was my goal. Yes, this isn't the wrong path. For a moment, I almost doubted myself. But it was clear to me. Without pain, I wouldn't be where I am. Therefore, looking down at the red book, my resolution strengthened and I flipped to the next page. Flip, 156. I was now 2 pages away from completing the book. 2 more pages until I could finally defeat the monster and for the pain to disappear. As I felt the power surge back into my body, I knew I hadn't been wrong. I knew this was the right method. Flip, 157. I screamed my heart out. Though it was all an illusion, it almost felt like all the bones in my body had shattered while fire surrounded me, burning every part of my body alive. This pain. It was too much. How could a human go through such pain? Why would someone even make themselves go through such pain? No, it's fine, I'm almost there. Looking at the book in my hand, I reached for the last page. So long as I turned that page, everything would stop. Yes, last page. Reaching out for it, the page felt heavy. Heavier than all the other pages combined. My muscles strained as I tried to push the last and final page. Once I turned this page, everything would. No, wait, just as I was about to turn to the very last page, I stopped. In a moment of clarity, I realized something. Single quote. Aren't I just repeating everything that I've been doing up until now? All of a sudden, everything felt wrong. Do you finally realize it? A voice whispered in my ear right after I stopped. What is pain? Suffering. Reaction to stimuli. Pain was your obsession. You subject yourself to pain because it's your comfort zone. You've experienced so much pain that it becomes your first thought whenever you want to tackle a problem. I thought back to the past. Could I have handled a lot of my previous problems in the past differently? Could I have unlocked my first spell without torturing myself? Could I have tackled the situation in the mid-space differently? Could I have grown stronger without pain? I didn't truly know the answer, but you don't hate yourself. I don't. But pain makes you think you hate yourself. I know. Let go of it. But I'm almost there. If I just turned the next page. Let go of your obsession. My hand shook. Staring at the page in front of me that was about to turn to the last page, I felt hesitant. I didn't want to let it go when I was so close to the goal. I didn't want to use the blue book. I didn't want to wait so long. I let go. Immediately, power sapped away from my body and I felt weak again. Yes, weak. But despite feeling weak, my mind felt clear. Taking one last look at the red book, I closed my eyes and tossed it to the side while picking up the blue book. Opening it, power surged through my body. It was slower, but it didn't hurt. I could think. Flip. Time passed. I didn't know how long passed. I just knew that a lot of time passed. Perhaps a day had passed, or even more. Even so, in those few days that passed, I remained absorbed in the book in front of me. Each page felt like a chore. As though I was reading a page with no paragraphs and just long lines of text, but I was making progress. My strength was increasing. And just like the previous book, it only had 158 pages. Flip. 158. I'm done. Staring at the last page, I felt empty. That's it. I finished. The experience was entirely different from the red book where each page felt incredibly agonizing to read through. This felt a lot easier and refreshing to some extent. Growl. Lifting my head to look into the distance, I placed the book to the side and stood up. Should I test the fruit of my patience? No, more than anything, I just wanted to show the old man that I wasn't an idiot. That I could accomplish the task he had given me. Growl. Yes, I'm coming. Taking a step forward, I moved toward the monster. Just like before, it was gruesome to behold the twisted goat head, the sickly, mottled skin that seemed to ripple with every movement, and its two large horns. However, unlike before, I didn't feel as pressured nor did I feel as rushed. I could defeat this monster at my own pace. Growl. With a deafening growl, the monster charged at me, each of its steps causing the surrounding cave to tremble as if it were on the brink of collapse. Seeing its large figure charge at me, I waited until the very last moment before acting. A green orb appeared in my vision as I lightly kicked the ground and jumped up. Bang! The surroundings trembled as the monster's horns crashed into the spot I had been just a few moments prior, sending a shockwave through the air. Grua. Recovering swiftly, the monster let out a furious howl, its head snapping toward me as I floated just above it, out of its reach. It was just about to move when I stepped into the air and my body suddenly plummeted down fast. Bang! Landing right on the monster's body, I heard a faint cracking sound as the monster let out a howl of pain. But I wasn't done. Closing my eyes, I felt something shift beneath my feet, spreading outwards and coating every inch of the cave with a dark film. The surroundings seemed to dissolve, fading into the oppressive blackness. Quiet. As the monster was about to howl again, a large purple hand emerged from the darkness, clamping its mouth shut. But that wasn't the only hand that appeared. Moments later, several massive purple hands emerged from beneath the monster, grasping and clamping down on every part of its body, pinning it in place, rendering it completely immobile. The monster tried to thrash around, but it was no use. With each passing second, its eyes grew more and more slack. That was when I leapt off the monster's body, moving silently in front of it. I stopped just before its head, meeting its gaze as I pressed my finger gently against the top of its forehead. As I did, I couldn't help but recall a certain question. What is pain? My old friend, the only companion I've ever known. My refuge, my escape, and my obsession. That's why I have to let go. Shoo, goodbye. Filled Square Express plus 171%. Chapter 498, Obsessions 4. Talk. As soon as I defeated the monster, the world shifted, and before I knew it, I found myself back in the white void. Standing not far from me was the old man. Though he tried to act calm, his wiggling smile betrayed his true thoughts. So, what? Look at him turning his head away from me. Let me guess, you weren't expecting me to be this fast, right? 11. His silence was all I needed to know. I yet again, almost burst out laughing. As much of a lunatic as this guy was, he was also quite easy to read. He was too shy to give compliments. Yes, shy. I don't like the expression you're currently making. Sorry, what? I sat down on the ground and stretched my arms. I'm not going to fall for it like last time. I'm not making any expression. You're just overthinking. There's only one thought in my mind at the moment. Which is, frowning. The old man leaned forward a bit. He seemed curious. Well, I dragged it on for a second before shrugging. Quote. I was just thinking about how surprised and pleased you were by my achievement. You should have looked at your face. You didn't give me any compliments, but I felt them. This punk. The old man's expression fell and he raised his hand. I didn't flinch and merely smiled. Come, hit me. I knew he wasn't going to hit me. I wasn't lying about his face. He really did look quite surprised and pleased. Someone who could make that face wouldn't just kill me for a few jokes. Egu. And I was right. Scratching the back of his head, the old man lowered his head down. Quote. Your luck, kid. Had it been the me of the past, I would have killed you without my eyes closing. I thought back to my first vision and nodded. He looked like he would. The old man frowned upon seeing my reaction as he touched his face while mumbling, "Is it that easy to read my expression?" I shook my head and closed my eyes. It's been a while since Almighty has contacted me. Is it because I am in this space? Normally, I'd be able to get a feel for Almighty, but it was almost as if I had lost complete connection. I was a little bit worried, but then again, it really could all be due to the strange space that I was in. Opening my eyes, I finally took notice of a pair of projections that weren't far from the old man. This is. Taking a closer look, I saw Kalian and Keys. I silently whistled at the sight that greeted me. The two of them, they were having quite a hard time. No wonder they lost to me. Monsters existed. Some were in plain sight, others hid in the shadows. In the mind, slap, the rain poured down from above. It poured harshly, as though the sky were crying themselves. Beneath the rain, two individuals stood. Slap, slap, why did you seal your emotions? Because I'm a talentless shit with no emotions. I got rid of my emotions because I am afraid of pain. Good, repeat it again. Quote. I'm a talentless shit with no emotions. I got rid of my emotions because I am afraid of pain. Keys mindlessly repeated the same words over and over again. Even as the rain stained his clothes and hair. All he could hear was the faint background noise of the rain, his steady breathing, the sound of his own voice, and continue. The cruel and indifferent voice of the monster. I'm a talentless shit. How much time has passed? Keys had long lost count by now. He just stood by the rain, repeating the monster's words over and over again. He also knew this was fake. He knew this was an illusion. And yet, he couldn't stop himself from repeating the words. Why couldn't he stop? If he just closed his mouth, what would the worst that could happen be? A harsher slap. While painful, the slaps Keys could take. But, no, this wasn't the answer. Why did you stop speaking? Slap. It didn't even hurt. Slap. Why did you stop? It hardly tickled. But, have you lost it completely? Slap. Why did his chest hurt? This pain. It was a little different from any physical pain he had felt in the past. In fact, he was sure he knew what this pain was, but couldn't quite say it. He just felt the answer at the tip of his tongue. Are you not going to say anything? Slap. Keys's head flung to the side due to the sheer force of the slap. Turning his head and staring at the man who stood before him, Keys's eyes cleared up a bit. Yet, Despite looking clearly at the man, his features felt foreign to him. He looked monster. Yes, he looked like a monster. Why are you not speaking? Have you completely lost it? You do understand I can get rid of you like I got rid of your siblings. I can make a new one anytime that I want. You're only alive because you have some shred of hope of succeeding me. Keys felt his body lift as the monster grabbed hold of his collar, lifting him off the ground. As talentless as you are, I can make you better. So listen to what I have to say and start practicing. Do you understand? Keys nodded. Good. Finally letting go of Keys, the man stepped back. Now, repeat after me. I'm a talentless shit with no emotions. I got rid of my emotions. Because I am afraid of pain. I'm a. Halfway through his sentence, Keys stopped. What's wrong? Are you? Am I really talentless? Quote. I am better. What sort of nonsense? I am better. Keys repeated. These were the words he used to repeat to himself in the past. Despite saying them, he never truly felt like he was better. After all, he was a talented trash. It was just that everyone else was even worse than him. In a world of trash, he was the better trash. Therefore, I am better, was merely a way for him to reaffirm his status. At least, that was how it used to be in the past. But what about now? Keys thought about Haven, the place that had the best talents in the entire 4 empires. The place where Julian, the guy who beat him, came from. Spending time in the academy. Keys understood something. He was better. Be it physical, mana, mental, or theoretical examinations, he was always at the top or near the top. There was no one that came close to him in all 4 aspects. Even Julian, who had defeated him, was nowhere near him in those aspects besides mental. In that sense, Keys started questioning the monster's words. Was he truly a talentless trash? Slap. Why aren't you speaking again? Keys raised his head and looked at the monster once more. Beneath the pouring rain, his image looked terrifying, but to a Keys who knew no fear, he didn't feel as towering as he once appeared. In fact, he was actually the same height. He used to be taller. The wrinkles he once had also no longer appeared, and his face became clearer in Keys's mind. I'll say it one more time. Repeat after me. I'm a tall. Am I talentless? Ah. Keys stared straight at the monster and his lips parted open. There's no one better than me in this empire or any other empire. He was at the top of everything. What sort of academics? Quote. You've lied to me. Physical and mental. There was hardly anyone as good as him. I lost, but that doesn't make me talentless. It's okay to lose. To lose didn't mean the end. It just meant one could be better. Keys knew he could be better. He was, after all, better. I didn't seal my emotions because I am afraid of pain. Keys raised his head and got a good look at the monster in front of him. For the first time in a very long time, Keys managed to see his full form. And it was then that he realized. I am my own monster. The one pushing him the entire time. The monster haunting his mind. It was none other than himself. Blinking his eyes, the figure in front of him became increasingly clear. The only thing that remained was the rain and himself. It was just like in the past. He had always been alone. His father had never once cared about him. When he trained in the air, he had been alone. The one to slap him had always been him. The one speaking had always been him. He, drip, drip, ah, I see. It was then that Keys understood. The monster was never real. It was merely a means to cope with the fact that he was alone. It was his own true companion. And his obsession. Lifting his head, the monster appeared again. Basking in the rain, Keys turned around and walked away. Thank you, and goodbye. Monster. Talk. As the rain stopped falling, Keys found himself standing in the middle of a white void. His mind felt liberated and his thoughts clearer. In spite of all of this, he still didn't feel his emotions. Holding onto his chest, he paused. When will I get my emotions back? He felt like he was close to reaching a breakthrough in that regard, but at the same time, it also felt incredibly far. Will I ever get them back? As Keys was lost in his own thoughts, he suddenly heard a voice coming from the distance. That was incredibly great. Awesome. You were amazing. Raising his head, he saw Julian standing beside the old man, who was eyeing Julian with an unmistakable frown. That was when Julian pointed at him. That's what he wants to say, but he's shy. I knew it. The old man glared at Julian. What? Your face said it all. Did it? Keys hadn't been paying attention. That's nonsense. Is it? The old man opened his mouth, only to close it again, crossing his arms with a sigh. Julian glanced at him briefly before turning his gaze to Keys. He's shy, he mouthed quietly, prompting the corner of Keys's lips to pull. He didn't realize it himself, but Julian noticed as his brow rose for a short moment before settling back. Not bad. Mumbling to himself, Julian turned his head and looked towards the last projection. His expression soon turned somewhat complex. The same was true for the old man, who clicked his tongue. Unexpected. When Keys followed their line of sight, his eyes fell on the projection they were looking at. And his face paused, because red. All he could see was the color red. Standing in the middle of the sea of red was a single person. Calion. It was a massacre. Chapter 499, Obsessions 5. The iron-like stench filled the air. It covered the ground in a red carpet. Talk, quote. As Calion walked within the red carpet, his eyes remained unfocused as he looked around. Blood. All he could see, hear, smell, and taste, was blood. His hands dripped with them, and his body was similarly colored in it. More. I need more. To feed the children, he started robbing the rich. He only robbed a little, not even that much. The amount he stole from them wasn't enough to cause them any significant harm. And yet, dead. The children had all been killed by them. How could they do this? They were innocent, and yet they were still targeted. That was when it became clear to Calion. Kill. They all needed to die. Everyone responsible for the children's deaths. They had to die. And so, he killed them all. He spared no one. And no, it wasn't me. I have a family. Why are you doing this to me? With cold and unfeeling eyes, Calion killed the rich. He took their wealth and redistributed it. Or at least, he tried to. Help, I'm hungry. Quote. I need food. But even that wasn't enough. The children kept coming to him endlessly. My mom needs food. They were all skinny, their cheeks sunken. Calion didn't even realize it, but he himself was looking like them. When was the last time he had eaten a meal? No, how could he eat a meal when there were children who were suffering? To feed an extra mouth, he forgot about himself. But that was not nearly enough. Please, help, more, quote. I need more food. Just wait a moment, calm down. I have more food. Just wait. Calion reached out for his bag of food but stopped when he realized it was empty. How could? My stomach hurts. Help. Calion bit his lips and looked at the children once more. His expression almost crumbled when he realized there were even more than before. There was so many of them he could see no end of. How could this? Why were there so many children? I'm hungry. You killed my father. What? Calion looked down. A child's gaze met his. You killed him. It was then that Calion recalled. This child. He was one of the children of the people he had killed. Wait, could it be? You also killed my mom. My dad lost his job because of you. We are poor. You made us poor. Feed us. No, Calion's expression changed when he felt something grip his leg. Looking down, he saw red hands emerge from the ground, reaching out for him. Calion tried to move away, but even more hands appeared. Feed me. Quote. Feed us. I'm hungry. Food. Overwhelmed by the sight, Calion looked around to see the children all staring at him with the same lost eyes he once had. He could see his own reflection within them in his heart. Stopped. I have to feed them. He didn't want them to suffer like he once did. Calion reached out for his pocket and took out his last remaining possession. It was a cookie. A crumbled up cookie. No, not this. I can't give this. He could give everything but this. This was the cookie his mother had made. See cookie. I want cookie. Give me. No, not this. Calion held his hand forward and stopped the children. I can't give you this. But I'm hungry. My mother. I'm sorry. Calion bit his lip and stared at the cookie in his hand. I can give anything but this. This cookie in his hand was everything to him. It symbolized his only hope. The one thing that prompted him to push himself out of that cave. It was the symbol of his past. A reminder of his upbringing and suffering. And a reminder of his mother. No, I can't. Not this one. Lifting his head, Calion's face turned resolute. He was just about to put the cookie away. When he stopped. What? Where is everyone? Looking around, he noticed that he was alone. There was no one. All that greeted his sight was a long carpet of red. What happened? Why is, I'm hungry. Kalion's head flicked back towards the source of the voice. His eyes eventually fell on a small child. With deep red eyes and black hair, the child looked exactly like him. His cheeks were sunken, and his eyes were hollow, like he had given up on life. 11. Kalion felt a lump form in his throat. This child. Food. It was none other than himself. I'm hungry. Pausing, the child looked up, meeting Kalion's gaze directly before pausing on the cookie in his hand. Will you give it to me? A trace of life appeared on the child's face upon seeing the cookie. That. Kalion looked at the cookie in his hand and pursed his lips. This is mine. How could he give away his most prized possession? Even if it was his younger self, how could Kalion give it away? He didn't want to give it away. He refused to give it away. I see. As if sensing his thoughts, the young Kalion nodded his head and his eyes turned dead once more. Turning around, he started walking away. Talk. His back looked frail and his body looked small. Kalion felt his chest grow heavy at the sight, but when he looked down at the cookie in his hand, he felt better. Yes, he'll get his cookie soon enough. Why did he have to give away his? Yes, it was everything to him. And yet, staring at the cookie in his hand, Kalion felt his mouth tremble. To him, the cookie was a reminder of the pain he had once suffered. A reminder of his last hope. A reminder of his mom, his obsession. Here you go. Kalion didn't know when, but the child was now in front of him. Holding out the cookie, Kalion looked directly at the child's eyes. He watched as life returned to them and his expression eased. This was enough. Yes, I don't need to be reminded. He was no longer starving. He was no longer in constant danger. He needed to let go of his past. His one true obsession. And so he did. Eat up. It's dry, but it's good. Staring at his younger self taking the cookie, Kalion felt his shoulder lighten up. Pressing his hand against the child's head, he mumbled. Things will get better. Really? Looking at the child, Kalion smiled. Yes. Because things may be painful now, but Kalion let go of the child's head and turned around. We'll get through it. I know we will. Goodbye, my obsession. Talk. The red dissipated and what replaced it was a clean white world. Several figures appeared in the distance, all staring in his direction with different expressions. Ah, well done. You were great. A bit slow but you were still great. Yes, good, quite good. Kalion almost paused when he heard Julian's and Keys's compliments. Were they really complimenting him? No, maybe not. This is what this guy is trying to say, but he's shy. You punks, stop it with that. Where in the world did you think I was ever going to say that? Holding onto his face, the old man massaged his beard while mumbling, there's no way they saw through me. I even made sure to keep my expression in check. With an all-knowing look, Julian looked at Kalion. See, Keys looked at the old man and then Julian. So obvious. Right. Julian held his mouth and Keys's lips pulled up. The two were clearly struggling to keep themselves from laughing. Wait, what? Kalion blinked his eyes while looking at Keys. He's smiling. How? Didn't he lose? No, before that. Don't their expressions look a bit too similar? Was this a good or bad development? Kalion thought it was good, but for some reason, something about the situation didn't quite feel comfortable to him. It was almost as if. No, there's no way. Kalion shook his head and dismissed the thought. There's no way Keys will be corrupted by Julian. Absolutely no way. Bringing everyone out of their thoughts was the old man who coughed. When everyone turned to look at him, he stood with his back straight and hands behind his back. You three idiots passing the test. You were quite slow, but I can accept such speed. Keys and Julian looked at each other and nodded as if they had some sort of mutual understanding. The old man picked up on their exchange and his mouth twitched, but he chose to ignore it. With this out of the way, you all should be able to lasting a bit longer. You won't notice the changes now, but it'll soon be reset. You can try seeing it for you. Clap. The white world shattered the moment the old man clapped his hands, and Julian and the others found themselves back in the old room. Right on cue, a thread suddenly manifested from above, latching onto their bodies. This time, it was their right shoulder. Everyone's expression changed, and so did Kalion's, but right as the thread connected to Their minds remained surprisingly clear. See, massaging his beard, the old man sat by the stool next to the piano. Quote. What did I tell you? Now that your minds are clear you will be able to lat longer in, and you will allo have a easier time breaking through to you next tier. Still, that's not the most imperating thing. Opening the piano cover, the old man pressed his finger down. Dang tilde, now that all you are minds are clear, we can start thinking about getting out of here. Dang, this is not quite right. Scratching the side of his head, the old man started mumbling to himself, how did it go? Again, why do I keep forgetting this part? Staring at him, the three looked at each other. There was a clear glint in their eyes. After all, they were about to get out soon. How could they not be excited? Dong tilde, air, but, dung, this sounds better. Was the old man really reliable? Oh, right. Pausing, the old man looked at all three of them. I'm not actually old. I'm 28. Quote. Quote. Wow, no way. Chapter 500. The Puppets 1. Dang tilde. Dang da. A lively tune played in the air. The note flowed smoothly through the air as two thick fingers gracefully pressed the piano keys. Dang da. It was a simple tune, and yet, it played wonderfully in the air. The tune continued to play for several more minutes before finally coming to a stop. Good, you've improved quite a lot. Ah, master. Scratching the back of his head, the young child looked down embarrassingly. You weren't able to play the tune in the past, but look at you now. You're becoming smarter and smarter by the day. How about it? Do you feel the changes? Quote. I do, the child replied, his voice sounding a little deeper than it had been in the past. A couple of years had passed since the day he had been brought into the room and trained with his master. He was now 13 and his body had undergone several changes. He was bigger than he was in the past, his frame larger and his muscles bulkier. This is all thanks to master. The child's thoughts were now clearer than before. He could speak fluently, and he absorbed all information like a sponge. And all of it was due to the miraculous drug his master had fed him. Without his master, he'd be nothing. Tell me what the changes are. How strong are you now? Quote. I'm not sure, but I am on the verge of developing a domain. A domain by the age of 14. Not bad at all. The child, who was now a teenager, smiled happily. I've done my best. You've far exceeded my expectations. I think it's almost time for you to go out. Out. A look of excitement flashed in the teen's eyes. For the past few years, he had been stuck within the room, training and learning every single day. A day hadn't gone by where he didn't think about the outside world, the place where he came from. He wanted to see gray skies outside. He wanted to feel the cold once more. And most importantly, he wanted to breathe in the fresh air of the outside world. With your newfound powers, you'll soon be facing more responsibilities, my child. It won't all be sunshine and rainbows. It won't. The master shook his head, walking towards the teen who now stood taller than him. He pressed his hand against the top of his head. You're still too naive, but with your newfound intelligence, I know you'll see through what you couldn't see through in the past. It's only then that you'll take over. The master smiled. Quote. The day won't be far when you become the next head of the House of Astrid. So the energy is about to run out of the box and it won't be long before the puppets start to attack this place too. Quote. That's correct. The old man nodded his head while fiddling with the box in his hands. How long do you think the box has? A day, maybe 2. What? I covered my forehead, feeling a headache coming. Quote. If that's the case, what was the point in making us go through everything that we went through? Sure, we were now more resistant to the threads, but what did that even matter? I was sure we'd be able to last a couple of days. You wouldn't last that long. Quote. The mental deterioration that, with each thread multiplies with each string on body. Your mind, it will become very foggy. Okay, but I still felt like we'd be fine. Staring at the old man who seemed to have aged even further, a thought occurred to me. Maybe, rather than ensuring that we'd last more, he did it because he can't last very long. He wanted to create hope. In case he wouldn't last, he wanted for us to last. Perhaps, we were the last hope he had in solving this entire situation. Haha, this old lunatic. He really was shy. I looked around me and saw Kalian and Keys show similar understanding looks. The old man paused and frowned before he clicked his tongue. 3 idiots, you are 3 idiots. Crossing his arms, the old man sat down on the ground with his legs crossed before sighing. Was I hoping for too much? Why did I getting idiots like them in my last moments? Should I, just giving up all hope? With a resigned look, he pursed his lips. Quote. I should give up. I shook my head at the sight of him. So not only was he a lunatic and a shy person, but he was also a drama queen. The more I got to know the old man, the more eccentric he appeared. In any case, what should do now? Quote. You said that you had an idea about the mastermind. Since we only have a couple of days left until the box runs out, shouldn't we try to figure out how to find the mastermind or escape this place? Ah, right. Stroking his beard thoughtfully, the old man opened his mouth as if to speak, but then hesitated. His eyes seemed to search the air for the right words, before closing his mouth. Again in silence, looking up at us, he licked his lips and closed his mouth again. No, it's not time yet. What do? Tap, tap, tapping onto the ground beside his, he closed his eyes. Rest for now, I'll let you know when it's time. From that moment forward, he stopped speaking. I tried to say something to him, but, ooark, his loud snores drowned out my voice. Left with no choice, I could only sit down on the ground and rest. What else could I do? When one becomes smarter, the world becomes different in one's eyes. Everything suddenly looks more clear, and they start to pick up the underlying things they previously couldn't in the past. Hey, isn't that, oh my god, it's that guy. I thought he had died. He's that retard. People he once used to think of as nice people suddenly didn't feel so nice anymore. From their words, facial expressions, and actions, it all suddenly became clear. Single quote. They were making fun of me. But why? Why would they make fun of someone for being a little stupid? What was wrong with being a little stupid? How are you doing? I thought you had died. Did you get better at cleaning? Is that where you left? Is it fun? Quote. Is it fun to laugh at those unable to think properly? Attacking someone for what they lack is the lowest display of power one can have. A stupid person was still a person. And there was no greater disability than the inability to see a person for what they were truly worth. What sort of non? I'm no longer the same as I was in the past. I can see through your words, expressions, and meanings. I am smarter than you will ever be, and the same is true for my power. Words flowed out of the teen's mouth. The more fluently he spoke, the shocked the people became. It was a memory the teen deeply imprinted in his mind as this marked the day he changed. The day people learned to value him not as a stupid person, but as a smart one. You have nothing that I want, and I have everything that you would want. I want you to keep watching me. Watch as I climb a spot you'll never reach. Watch as someone you once made fun of becomes the very thing you wished to become. With such words, he left. And he stayed truthful to his words. With the aid of his master's pill, he was able to rise up in power very rapidly. He became stronger by the day, and smarter at the same time. He became so smart that everyone around him looked stupid. I can see it now. That was also when he understood. Single quote. I can see why people used to make fun of me. He didn't know when, but he had also started to laugh at them like they once started to laugh at him. But that wasn't the thing that hurt the most. The thing that hurt the most was the fact that he also found himself laughing at how he used to be. That hurt. It hurt so much. With brains, he started to learn of other emotions. He learned of arrogance, and his previous naivety dissipated. All sorts of intrusive thoughts entered his mind, leading to endless obsessions. He tried to get rid of them, but the smarter one was the more obsessed they became. Suddenly, he felt trapped within his own mind. I'm slowly falling apart and losing sight of what makes me, me, and it scares me. I don't want to not be me. It almost felt like he was looking at life through a window. Still, he found a way to clear his mind once more. He saw a light within the dark tunnel of his. Single quote. It's close, I can feel it. The tunnel to the next tier. The fabled zenith. So long as he could cross that level, he could be free. If only. I don't have much time to live. Things always happened unexpectedly. I am so happy with what you became. His master. You've exceeded all my previous hopes, and I hope you'll lead the house into an era of prosperity. The one man who had nurtured him into what he was, died at the age of 67. From that point forward, he became the head of the House of Astrid. That day, His prison sentence extended. Wake up, a low voice shook me out of my dreams. When my eyes opened, a long thick beard appeared right above me and I almost had a heart attack. I was just about to complain when a hand pressed against my mouth. Keep your voices down. Looking up, I saw the old man staring up with an extremely serious expression. My heart sank then. What is happening? When I looked around, I saw Kalian and Keys stare in the same direction as the old man with similar expressions to his. For them to act like this. It's almost time. Get yourself ready. It'll soon be time for you three to leave this place. Before I had the chance to speak, the old man spoke over me. I don't have much time left. His voice shook, but it was clear. It'll be over once it gets me, but this is also the best time for you to solve this. He lowered his head to look at me. With all its energy focused on me, the puppets will not be very reacting. Free them and let them and bring them out of this place. My eyes widened in realization. This guy, but you, it's okay. The old man smiled. I am the head of the household. It is my job to make sure everyone is free, even if it costs life. Have been prepared all along. I just didn't have the people to help me. Who would have thought 3 idiots would showing up all of a sudden? He chuckled and looked at the 3 of us individually. Is happy to have met you all. For a moment, his image overlapped with that of the child in the first vision. He, if one needs to be stuck, let it be me. Never knew who the mastermind was. He had been lying the entire time. From the start, he planned on sacrificing himself. He waited until the very last moment when all focus was on him to get us to free everyone and leave this place. From the very first moment, he saw no hope in himself. He pushed his hand forward. Bang! The door blasted open, and I felt a powerful force push me up. Go, ook. In the last moments, I turned around to see the old man smiling. Right then, several dozen threads manifested from above, all latching onto his body. The last thing I heard before getting pushed all the way up was his frail, yet proud voice. Free them all, idiots.